The book of creation, learning about God through science and nature. My dear friends, today I invite you on a journey that bridges two worlds often seen as separate: faith and science, nature and the divine. We will explore what is called the book of creation, the idea that God reveals himself not only through scripture but also through the beauty, order, and mystery of the natural world. As followers of St. Francis de Sales, we are called to see God in everything. He found deep spiritual meaning in creation, and so can we. Let us open our hearts and eyes to discover how the world around us can become a living classroom of God's wisdom and love. The first point for reflection today: the two books, Scripture and Creation. The Christian tradition speaks of two books, the book of Scripture and the book of creation. The first is the Bible, God's revealed word, teaching us his plan of salvation. The second is the natural world, where God's power, wisdom, and beauty shine through every leaf, every star, every heartbeat. These books do not compete, they complement one another. Scripture tells us why the world exists because of love. Creation shows us how it exists through God's creative order. Science then becomes a way of reading the book of creation, a means of uncovering God's fingerprints in the fabric of the universe. St. Francis de Sales often drew examples from nature to teach about God's love. He believed that creation mirrors its creator, that every flower, every bird, and every sunrise whispers something about God. The second point for reflection today: science as a path to God. Science, at its best, is not an enemy of faith, but an ally. It is a humble search for truth, a disciplined curiosity about how the world works. When scientists study the laws of nature, they are in fact uncovering the logic and beauty of the Creator's design. Think about it. The universe is finely tuned for life. The balance of forces, the precise laws of physics, the complexity of a single living cell all speak of divine intelligence. The more we learn through science, the more we are moved to awe and wonder. The vastness of the galaxies, the beauty of a snowflake, the mystery of the human brain, all lead us to exclaim, "How great is our God!" Whether it is astronomy, biology, physics, or ecology, each reveals a facet of God's grandeur. Science, when approached with humility, does not lead us away from God but toward Him. The third point for reflection today: nature as a source of spiritual insight. Nature is not only the subject of study, it is also a teacher of the soul. When we contemplate creation, we discover lessons about God's attributes and about ourselves. The beauty of nature reflects God's own beauty and harmony. The power of storms and oceans reminds us of His majesty. The abundance of life reveals His goodness and generosity. And the wisdom of ecosystems shows His intelligence and order. Nature also teaches us virtues. The slow growth of a tree calls us to patience. The resilience of animals reminds us of perseverance. The interdependence of life points to community, and the vastness of the cosmos invites us to humility. St. Francis de Sales loved such examples. He compared the soul to a garden needing cultivation, and love to a fire that both warms and transforms. For him, The natural world was a book full of parables about the divine life. The fourth point for reflection today: Salesian spirituality and care for creation. Salesian spirituality invites us to see creation as God's gift of love, a sacred trust, not a possession. To love God and neighbor also means to love the world He made. This vision gives rise to a cosmic theology, seeing God present and active everywhere. The whole universe is a temple of His glory. Therefore, virtues like gentleness, humility, and simplicity shape our relationship with creation. They help us treat nature with respect, not exploitation. Practically, this means consuming less and wasting less, supporting sustainable practices, protecting the environment, and spending time in nature to renew our gratitude and wonder. When we care for creation, we are continuing God's work of love. As Pope Francis said, to care for creation is to care for life itself. Fifth point for reflection today: challenges and opportunities. Of course, we face challenges. Some see science and faith as enemies, but they ask different questions. Science asks, how does the universe work? Faith asks, why does it exist and what does it mean? Both questions are needed, and together they give a fuller picture of truth. Another challenge is the misuse of Scripture, reading it as a science textbook instead of a message of salvation. Scripture speaks the language of faith, not formulas. And perhaps the greatest challenge today is the environmental crisis. Yet, even this is an opportunity to renew our Salesian call to love and stewardship, to protect the earth as our common home, and to restore harmony where it has been broken. The sixth point for reflection today: integrating science, nature, and faith. The way forward is through dialogue and harmony. Let scientists, theologians, and believers listen to one another, learning together how creation reflects its creator. We need a holistic vision, one that unites mind, heart, and hands. Such a vision calls us to seek truth wherever it may be found, respect the integrity of creation, promote justice and compassion, and cultivate wonder and gratitude. When science and faith walk hand in hand, they lead us not to pride but to worship. To conclude, a call to harmony. My dear friends, the book of creation invites us to see God's handwriting everywhere, in the stars above, in the soil beneath, and in the beating of every heart. By reading both the book of Scripture and the book of creation, we learn to know, love, and serve God more deeply. Let us then live in harmony with God, with one another, and with all creation, so that our lives may reflect the beauty and peace of the one who made all things good. Everything in creation is the finger of God, said St. Francis de Sales. May we never close this sacred book, but read it every day with eyes of faith, hearts of gratitude, and hands ready to care for God's wonderful world. Live Jesus.